We are here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Bring news just for you. It's Monday, July 1st here in Seoul. I'm Songjin and you're watching News Generation. Today we're joined by Choi Ji-hee.
Happy Monday.
And happy first day of July.
Oh yeah! I can't believe it. It's already the second half of the year.
I know. And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you. Now, both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to start with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. Here in Korea, business owners are grappling with a significant problem, a type of March fly known as love bugs. Local media outlets have reported that some restaurants and bars with outdoor seating have seen a drop in sales as customers are hesitant to dine outside due to swarms of these insects, which mostly fly in pairs. Despite local governments implementing countermeasures, there's no concrete solution yet. That's because these bugs are known to help pollinate flowers, and excessive countermeasures could harm the ecosystem. Now, moving on, staying here in the country, to the tragic fire that claimed 23 lives at a lithium factory in Hwasong City, Gyeonggi-do Province last week. Former workers have reported a lack of safety training, including evacuation plans. One worker who had worked at the factory for 8 months until the day of the fire says she was unaware of the location of the emergency exit. She only knew to be careful not to drop batteries as they could explode. Now, this contradicts the company's statement at a press conference last Tuesday, where they claimed to have provided emergency evacuation training through maps and manuals in Korean, English, and Chinese. Finally, an increasing number of celebrities in Korea are taking legal action against so-called cyber wrecker YouTube channels. Most recently, a renowned dancer announced he's going to sue a channel for spreading false information and defamation after it claimed he was having an affair with someone only 5 years older than his daughter. Now, these channels upload malicious commentary videos highlighting individuals' supposed faults and mistakes without thorough fact-checking. A recent survey done by the Korea Press Foundation showed that 70% of adults in the country have watched these videos, which often spread false rumors to attract views and subscribers. So here in the studio, have you ever seen these cyber wrecker videos? What do you think about them, and why do you think we're seeing more of them online?
Well, it's not the first time we've seen these sort of videos come up on YouTube. I mean, they're everywhere, basically. It's just obviously quite new here in South Korea to be making these sort of channels. I obviously think these sort of channels deserve to be taken down, or at least taken to court. And I'm sure if enough people come together, especially with the celebrities who have the money to actually take these channels to court, eventually, hopefully, it will have a knock-on effect and a lot of these channels will stop running. But yes, the spread of false information can be very damaging to one's reputation as well as one's, life as well, especially when it comes to celebrities. So hopefully YouTube as well could do something about it before it has to go to court and people have to spend, a lot of money just to get these sort of channels taken down.
Right, I agree that we need some sort of countermeasures because the content that these videos are spreading have become really extreme. As you mentioned, this could lead to serious consequences to celebrities who live off of their reputation and their public image. Now, what are your thoughts on this, Ji-hee?
Well, this is definitely a crime, and videos that spread false information and defame Korean celebrities, like Walter said, are deeply problematic because they harm individuals' reputations and mental health even, and they erode public trust and contribute to a toxic online culture. So social media platforms, legal systems, as well as society as a whole must take a stronger stance against such harmful content to foster a more responsible and truthful online environment. And also, as consumers of these online content, we must also be very careful.
Right, we should fact check.
Yeah, we should fact check. And the general public, not so much the individuals, but when we become a public, we're very gullible and easily swayed by these information, especially online. So we should be very cautious.
Right, definitely more countermeasures should be taken and are needed in order to kind of remove and take care of this toxic and unhealthy online culture. And that was our news feed for this Monday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion of the day. Today we're going to talk about a new trend we've been noticing in the job market among the younger generation. Take a look at the screen to find out more.
Here in Korea, we're seeing more young people turning away from traditional career paths and choosing to start their own business. This is a significant change in a society where staple jobs at established companies were once seen as the ultimate goal. What's driving millennials and Gen Zs to take the entrepreneurial plunge?
So as mentioned in the video, we're seeing a growing number of young business owners here in Korea. So let's first talk about how many young business owners we're actually seeing in the country.
Sure. So in the previous fiscal year, there was a significant increase in the number of newly registered businesses or startups with a total of 1.27 million entities. Now, of these, 38% were initiated by entrepreneurs aged less than 40, which indicates a strong presence of millennials and Gen Z in the entrepreneurial landscape.
Right.
In fact, 4 out of 10 entrepreneurs belong to these younger generational cohorts. And this demographic composition signifies the highest percentage recorded to date, demonstrating a consistent upward trend in the involvement of younger individuals in entrepreneurship.
So seeing a record high number of these young entrepreneurs who are part of the millennial and Gen Z generation, that's definitely something that we must talk about on NewsGen. So now that we have the numbers, Walter, why do you think that we're seeing an increase in the number of millennial and Gen Z business owners?
Well, it's actually quite interesting. So if we take a look at the screen, we can actually see some of the reasons that Gen Z would rather run their own business than take the route of the traditional other generations of finding a job, an office job. So 48%, which is why I'm also a freelancer, is flexible working environment.
That's important.
Yes, and 29% are creating high revenue. Obviously, if they have a successful business, a lot of the money will go to them. 8% able to work past retirement age. This is a very important thing in Korea, as if you don't know Korean culture, you're sort of forced out of companies at a quite early age.
In your early 60s, right?
Exactly. So if you are able to have your own business, you can, decide on when you want to retire.
Right.
7% find it difficult to find employment, of course. Now, this is quite a common thing as well happening in Korea, finding employment. And 7% also say they have some good ideas for businesses. So it looks like our generation is a bit more imaginative, a bit more ambitious, and it's great to see that we are, heading in this direction.
Right. So a lot of issues, a lot of reasons are behind why our generation is choosing to start their own business rather than joining an established company. So my question for you, Ji, is could this trend also be related to some of the specific areas that our generation is opening their businesses?
Yeah, definitely. So the most popular industries for young people to start a business are retail, service, and food. Now, retail accounts for 46% of startups among those under 30 years old, a higher percentage than in other age groups. Now, while real estate, rental, and food businesses require a lot of initial capital, retail businesses such as online shopping malls are relatively easy for young people to start. And there's also a lot of information available on the internet about starting a business, which makes it a lot more accessible as well. And also more people are taking on retail as a side job or working multiple jobs, selling products through social media, thanks to the advancement of digital technology and online platforms. And our generation tend to be, on average, very tech savvy.
Right, and I can definitely relate to how the younger generation who are starting their business are doing retail businesses, because when I look around my friends who actually started their business, I remember one started like a phone case online shopping mall. So as she mentioned, it definitely doesn't require a lot of money because you don't have to rent the space. So yeah, I think these are some of the reasons why our generation is more into starting their own businesses. Now, this is a situation in Korea, but we also asked our viewers what kind of businesses young people in their countries usually start and run. And here's what 3 of them had to say. So if we look at the comments, Brodo Kiba says, India's Gen Z and millennials are starting businesses primarily in tech startups, e-commerce, content creation, health and wellness, education technology, sustainable and green initiatives, food and beverages, travel and hospitality, entertainment and gaming. Wow, that's a lot. And Tasmia says, usually food or textiles because it's something that the public will always need. Benny says, when it comes to starting a business for millennials and Gen Z in the Philippines, I think of food businesses, ready-to-wear souvenirs, and basic goods. So based on the comments, we can see that millennials and Gen Z in other parts of the world are really active and passionate about starting their own businesses. Now, to learn even more about what's motivating the younger generation to start their own business and how they're finding the experience, we're now going to invite an Australian entrepreneur who's running his own business here in Korea. We'll be right back after the break. We're back. Today we're joined by Peter Michaels, who's an owner of the My Little Oz Cafe in Yangpyeong, Gyeonggi-do Province. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning.
Great. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
Great. So our first question for you, Peter, is could you tell us a bit more about your business, like when you first launched your cafe, and also what made you decide to start your own business instead of joining an established company?
So I started this business with my wife, Kelly. We both worked in Australia for a long time. When I came to Korea, it was about early 2020, so just around when COVID was starting, which is a bit scary time. We were thinking about how we can sort of work and do some good stuff in Korea. So what I try to do is try to help people, and it's also good to learn and teach others about different things. So we decided to start the business and help improve the Australian culture in Korea, because I believe there is a huge connection between Korea and Australia as well. So yeah.
I see. I always think that's a really good cause and motivation to be introducing a foreign culture to a country. And so what do you find most rewarding and most challenging then about running your own business?
So I think it's the challenging part is obviously all the logistics and all the different the way to operate. There is always different ways to operate, and that's a bit of a challenge when you're dealing with a different language as well. But I think the most rewarding part is always educating people, helping people, because one of my personal mantras is always helping people be their better selves. So this is always a good way to indirectly help them be a better person by giving them a good cup of coffee or a good Australian style dessert.
Yeah, well, not many people know this, but me and Peter are actually friends, and we go way back. And I have been to both of their cafes, and well, I've been to one of their cafes, and I really admire that you guys have been able to not just open one business at one point. You were able to open two businesses, and if I have to promote it, it was a very, very good cafe indeed. So, do you have any tips for young people who are preparing to launch their own business, Peter?
Thanks for nice comments. We do try to do a good coffees and desserts, obviously. But to your question, I think the biggest one is you have to obviously be dedicated and want to work hard to be good at what you do, because if you aren't good at what you do, then you're not going to really be successful, if that makes sense. And you just have to know how to, I think probably getting a lot of the good resources and knowing where to look and try to find the solutions to what you may have problems in the future with. Yeah.
Great, some very great advice. All right, that was Peter Michaels, owner of the My Little Oz Cafe, Yangpyeong. Peter, hope everything goes well with your business, and thank you so much for your time once again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Peter.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right, so despite the growing number of young entrepreneurs we're seeing in the country, as we've mentioned earlier in our discussion, as Peter briefly mentioned, sustaining your business for a long time can be very challenging. So apart from what Peter mentioned, Ji, what do you think are some of the challenges that young people face a lot? And is this actually a problem or a struggle that millennials and Gen Z business owners are facing?
Right, right. Well, the number of businesses closing among the younger generation has also increased in recent years. So while the overall rate of business closures decreased by 0.9%, I think that's also because of the base effect after COVID-19.
Right, right.
And the percentage of entrepreneurs aged less than 30 going out of business increased by 6.3%, which is a lot higher.
Right.
However, I personally don't think this is something to be concerned about because you can't expect to succeed in business on your first try. And the rate of failure reflects that more young people are taking on challenges, being more ambitious. And as long as they don't blindly follow trends and carefully think about what business idea to pursue, I believe this is actually a positive sign. And I also think I talked about how they should have proper ideas before starting a business, right? As Walter has introduced earlier in the data that he showed us, only 7% answer that they have good ideas to start a business. And the number one reason was because of the flexibility.
Environment.
That's right. So instead of just following those reasons, they should really think and contemplate, think carefully about what ideas they can really turn into a business before they start so that they can raise the success rate and the maintenance of it.
Right. I think that you definitely mentioned a good point because I think that if you want to start a business, the important thing that is that you need to have a goal, like you need to have a creative or innovative idea of what you really want to do, and like the flexible working environment or having more pay, earning more than when related to having an annual salary, that should come after. I think that having a business, if you want to have a business, you should like have a streak or I want to do something, open a business because I want to achieve this. So yeah, I think that's a very valid point and something that millennials and Gen Z who are planning to open a business should be mindful of. Now, anything that you'd like to add on, Walter, to some of the potential challenges or struggles?
Yeah, you both have pointed out some really good reasons. I think this is such a risky and at the same time very brave thing to do. I've got a lot of people around me who are entrepreneurs and they all have the business mind. Now, like when I'm saying that is like when I'm talking to them, I can even see when I'm talking to them, they're always thinking about their business. And that's something that you should really try and probably adapt to because a business is a serious situation. It's not, you know, content creating, for example, that's a bit different. They can be turned into a business, but at the start, you don't have to invest much. But when you want to open a cafe or a restaurant, a chain, etc., you really have to put everything into it. And I know that when those sorts of when you put that sort of mindset into it, there is a good chance that your business might work. But as Chihi said, a lot of small businesses don't always, you know, work out the first time, and it's very important to keep on trying. And like the old saying goes, you never really know if you don't try. But I really think that you should think more and very heavily into your business. And like as I said, I've got a friend who actually he doesn't really care about what he's not really interested in his product, but he has a business mind and he knows the trends. So what he does is he does a lot of research, and that's what you should do, I think, when it comes to, you know, maintaining and sustaining a business.
Right, do your research because having a business requires a lot of dedication and responsibility. Now, before we wrap up our discussion, are there any more tips or advice that you'd like to give to those who are wanting to open up their own business?
Well, in addition to the efforts that individuals should make, such as doing your research thoroughly, I think the government and private organizations should also make efforts to make sure that they're supporting these younger generations so that they can really start and maintain their businesses. So for example, this support can come in the form of more youth startup funds. Although we have quite a lot, we can provide more, of course, and low interest loans because you might need a lot of initial budget when you want to start a business, and tax deductions, as well as university programs and online training courses that are accessible, and public and private incubators or accelerators. And also mentorship programs and fostering an entrepreneurial culture through public campaigns, media coverage of success stories will definitely help, and promoting entrepreneurship as a whole by society will be very helpful. Now, these initiatives can surely help create an environment where young entrepreneurs can thrive and drive innovation in the South Korean economy. In fact, a couple of years ago, the number of young people starting a business was a lot lower than right now.
I think we've seen the numbers going up in recent years.
Yeah, in recent years. And I think it was partly due to COVID-19 as well, ironically.
Right, because there were like not a lot of job openings during the pandemic, so people were shifting shifting towards why not start our own business
Exactly. And many of the unicorns, the big businesses that are now contributing to our country's economy include startups that have become huge, like Coupang or like Mushinsa, etc. So these are all businesses that were started by younger people, and these ambitions and these efforts to really try and create something of their own is something that we should welcome and applaud, and we need an environment that can really support them to do so. And a question popped up in my mind. Did you guys ever think of like starting your own business maybe sometime in the future?
I actually
like
did.
in the future.
You did?
Not
I
now.
actually did when I was
You
in
did?
college.
Oh yeah.
So I had like kind of this fun plan. Oh, can I just have like
Sure.
So I went on a trip with my high school friends to Taiwan, and then we went to a local fruit market, and there was a dragon fruit or something, and it was really red and pink. So I was like, why not like create some lipstick using dragon fruit? And we were like, oh, maybe we should do that. So we started doing research, but then I found that the idea was already taken. So do your research, people.
Yes. That actually brings me to like, what we should do when we're thinking about starting our own business, I think, is like research before jumping right in.
Right,
and like
right.
the trends, though they seem trendy, that means it's very saturated.
Yeah.
So if it's an online store, what you can do differently to make your product stand out is very important. If it's an offline store, I think in the location, the surroundings are very important. Look at like, is it close to a school? What could I sell around a school? Is it close to a subway station? What could I sell around a subway station? Always be prepared to do the hard work, because all the people I've met when it came down to very successful businesses now were the ones who did the dirty work first. I remember one of the guys who is a close friend of mine, who he owns a very popular bosam or steamed pork restaurant. He actually dug into like bins to see like what people were using in their ingredients, and he's got pictures of that everywhere. So you have to be making sure you are prepared to do the dirty work. It's not always going to be fun. It's going to be stressful. You have to be it seems very luxurious.
Yeah, it looks really fancy.
But yeah, at the end of the day, you really got to make sure that you are 100% committed.
Yeah.
If you're not 100% committed, I wouldn't suggest ever going into a business.
Nothing comes easy.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, right? So I think that because our generation, millennials and Gen Z, we're very trendy. I think we have a lot of innovative and creative ideas.
Right.
So if we work really hard, if we do the research, as Walter mentioned, and if you guys also have some support programs provided by your government or your universities or any other institutions, I think that would be a great way for you to start a successful and stable business in the future. And I hope that our discussion today helped future entrepreneurs to successfully launch their own business. And that's all the time we have for today, but NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Choi-Ji-Hee.
Thank you.
And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have both of you. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News Generation.